For almost 20 years, the Harry Potter films looked to have exhausted their secrets. Fans remembered all lines, spells, and glances between Harry and Hermione. However, the group kept secrets behind the charm and laughing. The challenges of growing up in the spotlight, near-fatal incidents, and overlooked human moments. Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint. They endured the experience without the ability to articulate its true cost. Years later, they only now reveal the truth about the weight of the wand, which no fan ever understood. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, released in June 1997 in UK bookstores, was not anticipated to transform the world. The initial print run was 500 hardbacks. This publication is small and easily overlooked, fitting into library shelves. In just a few months, J.K. Rowling's tale of a lonely youngster finding his wizardry went viral. Teachers suggested it for reluctant readers. Parents began reading aloud to their children and were unable to stop. Harry Potter achieved a feat few children's books could do by the turn of the millennium. It bonded generations. Bookstores became gathering places, and Pottermania swept the world. The news changed everything. Warner Brothers adapted the phenomenon into a film. For millions, it was a dream. It was destiny for 3 children. Also a hardship at age 11. Daniel Radcliffe was cast as Harry, a beloved character across the globe. Suddenly, he became a legend. It was terrifying. I didn't understand why everyone was looking at me like Harry Potter, Daniel subsequently remarked. I was a child. Emma Watson, a 10-year-old eager but unskilled actress, cried when she was cast as Harry. I knew my life would change, she said years later. Rupert Grint, a red-haired, smart, and warm-hearted character, was initially portrayed as comedy relief until understanding the significance of fame. I was the funny one, he whispered. I sometimes felt like I was lost in the laughs. Behind the scenes, the magic they created on film had a cost. Childhood play was replaced by long shooting hours, squeezing in school lessons between takes. Privacy vanished. Strangers called them by unfamiliar names everywhere they went. Daniel admitted to hearing, "Look, it's Harry," whispered behind him while walking across London. The border between fiction and reality blurred even at home. During the 2001 premiere of The Sorcerer's Stone, people yelled their names, flashbulbs scorched their faces, and the trio smiled despite the commotion. Although Daniel smiled nervously, his mother urged, "Just breathe." He did not realize that this moment would shape his life, not simply his youth. He held a fake wand on screen. The weight was not from growing up at Hogwarts. By the time Harry Potter, The Chamber of Secrets was released in 2002, the cast had crossed an invisible line. They were no longer children playing characters. They became their characters. The castle halls, Great Hall, and infinite staircases were no longer merely film sets, their home. We spent more time in those hallways than in school. Emma Watson later admitted, I sometimes forgot who I was, Hermione or myself. The youth of Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma was now defined by shooting schedules and release dates. Rather than birthdays or summer breaks, the spectators witnessed magic. The cast experienced weariness. Days turned into nights under studio lights. Private tutors replaced classrooms. With their buddies as co-stars, their memories are inextricably linked to scripts and cameras. It seemed like living in a bubble. Rupert Grint stated, "You never left Hogwarts, even after the cameras stopped." Despite its allure, magic often hid genuine dangers. While filming The Goblet of Fire in 2004, Daniel Radcliffe nearly drowned during the underwater challenge sequence. He mistakenly signaled the safety team that he was out of air using the improper hand signal. Divers quickly began to rescue him. Daniel remembered a moment when he realized that the scene was real, not just acting. Although no one was wounded, the terror persisted after the cameras stopped rolling. The tone of the movie evolved to reflect the growing pains of the young actors. In 2004, director Alfonso Cuarón's Prisoner of Azkaban marked a significant milestone. The vibrant hues of early Hogwarts were no longer present. In their place, shadows, atmosphere, and emotion emerged. Cuarón suggested the trio explore vulnerability and internal turmoil to experience their characters' emotions. For the first time, the plot expanded beyond wizards and monsters. The story explores adolescence, loneliness, and the challenges of rapid growth. The actor who played Draco Malfoy, Tom Felton, pondered on the change we began as children pretending to be magicians, he continued. By the third picture, we faced unnamed challenges. Angry, jealous, guilty, acting was disguised treatment. While viewers witnessed amazement and enchantment, the youthful cast was quietly realizing that innocence was the first spell they would lose and never regain, the fame's dark side. Harry Potter became more than just a cultural sensation by the mid-2000s. There was no stopping this empire. Goblet of Fire opened in 2005, causing ticket lines to encircle city blocks and being dubbed the biggest movie event of the generation. Beyond the spotlight, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint were struggling with their own achievements that we couldn't walk down the street, Daniel said years later. People stopped calling me Daniel. They called me Harry. What began as a fantasy became a lifetime of celebrity. For young actors, the physical and emotional strain was significant. They endured months of filming without breaks, juggling academics, and meeting the demands of a world that denies them peace. According to Emma Watson, 13-hour days were common. Not knowing otherwise, despite her calm professionalism, she was in tears. I felt lonely, she said. Many thought we were living a fairy tale, but it was often just survival. Rupert Grint was exhausted too. You grow up in front of the world, he remarked. Millions of strangers may perceive you as known, leading to a loss of your true identity. Sadly, Richard Harris, the wonderful actor who played the original Dumbledore, passed away in 2006. The demise of this character shook the entire production. After forming a close bond with him, Daniel quietly stated, "He treated me like a grandson." After his death, Hogwarts seemed to go dark. The studio replaced him with Michael Gambon. For the younger cast, the transition was a hard reminder. Nothing is constant in the magical world of Harry Potter. As the series progressed, fame increased, but delight eventually faded. The trio was fatigued from constant interviews, photo shoots, and pressure to be flawless. They smiled for photos, signed autographs, and answered queries about happiness while struggling internally. Daniel later said that he initially feared that his real life would not match the legendary story about the price of magic. During production for Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows, the boundary between the wizarding realm and reality became completely blurred. The cast in their late teens carried out the closing chapters of a generation-defining narrative. Despite the dream, the risks became more real. In 2009, Daniel's stunt double, David Holmes, had a life-altering injury during a flying sequence. A misconceived controlled explosion left David paraplegic from the chest down. Even in an illusionary environment, the crew went silent that day, reminding them of the harsh reality of peril. Daniel later stated, "He was my friend, displaying emotion. It changed how I looked at everything we did after that." Although tragedy struck, David's bravery symbolized perseverance for the entire cast. During a last combat rehearsal, the Hogwarts castle set caught fire that year. Over 100 crew members fought the fire. Headlines read, "Hogwarts burns." No one was wounded, but many saw it as symbolic. The castle, their childhood refuge, was rapidly vanishing. Emma Watson later acknowledged that these years were the most challenging. "We were unknowingly saying goodbye." She added that it seemed like goodbye in every scene. Rupert Grint admitted to have trouble envisioning life beyond Ron Weasley. He compared it to closing the door on his boyhood. Daniel felt the weight of fame already weighing on him. In later interviews, he admitted to using alcohol to manage the stress of constant public attention. "I was afraid of being seen as anything other than Harry Potter," he said. "Without him, I was unsure of myself." The wizardry was celebrated worldwide. Despite the celebrations, the cost of growing up inside, it was finally catching up with them. Our Missing Secrets, Deathly Hallows, Part 2 premiered in 2011. The experience felt like the end of an era for both fans and those who had lived through the story. Although millions watched the closing scene, the actors themselves cried the most. Emma Watson described it as a funeral-like experience. "Together, we created a world that is now gone." During the years that followed, the cast revealed the secrets that viewers missed. The actor Daniel Radcliffe claimed that Harry's characteristic move, putting his glasses up, was not in the script. Glasses kept falling off his face. "It became part of the character by accident," stated. Rupert Grint revealed that Ron's uncomfortable laughs and awkward pauses were mostly improvised. "That's my nature," he laughed. Emma admitted to accidentally punching Tom Felton instead of the intended light touch on Draco in Prisoner of Azkaban. He was a great sport. She grinned. Later in life, Emma revealed her affection on Tom during filming, confirming rumors long assumed but never confirmed. She answered, "Nothing ever happened, but a spark occurred." The irony was obvious. She secretly loved Draco Malfoy despite her years of hatred towards him on screen. One of the most important secrets belonged to Alan Rickman. J.K. Rowling said that Snape loved Lily Potter long before fans learned the truth about him. Alan kept this secret for years, using it to steer his glances, pauses, and emotions. After his 2016 death, Daniel stated, "I now understand everything he was doing. He knew the outcome before us. Today, watching his scenes is different. Silence and controlled looks might feel like mourning disguised as discipline." The painful legacy. The years following Harry Potter were bittersweet. The trio left Hogwarts, but the world kept beckoning them back. Daniel pursued stage work and indie films to regain his identity. Emma became involved in advocacy and education, stating, "Hermione gave me a voice. I had to learn how to utilize it for myself." To avoid celebrity, Rupert lived peacefully in the English countryside, periodically returning for little projects but remaining away from the spotlight. Even the supporting actors had recollections. Tom Felton admitted to struggling with addiction and depression after the franchise finished, stating that the burden of being such a popular villain persisted for years. Matthew Lewis, who played Neville Longbottom, claimed, "I stopped being awkward after a decade. The enchantment immortalized them, but also froze them in time." J.K. Rowling explained the meticulous thought behind even the slightest elements. She said that Tom Riddle's diary was the initial Horcrux, Harry's strange tongue was evidence of Voldemort's influence, and the Invisibility Cloak's debut in the first novel foreshadowed the Deathly Hallows. The names Lupin, Sirius, and Malfoy were hints in plain sight. Every element was significant. Every decision mattered. For those who experienced it, the significance was more personal. The castle burnt, lights dimmed, and children with robes and wands were fully grown, scarred, appreciative, and transformed. The magic was real, Daniel stated in a 2025 interview. This came at a cost. We didn't merely play those characters. We became them. After years, the Harry Potter ensemble continues to share experiences that demonstrate the enchantment beyond the screen. They were the ones who created it. They shared their laughter, sadness, and growing pains with us. Tell me which behind-the-scenes secret startled you most. Share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for more undiscovered stories from the world you thought you knew. Like, subscribe, and join us next time.